G'day, I'm here with Jim Campbell-Claus. Welcome, Jim.
G'day.
We're going to talk about the season so far and a few other issues. If you could take us away on how the whites have gone.
Yeah, so what are we, middle of March, and pretty well most of the whites in the region have come off now. And it's been a fascinating season because we had such a cool, wet spring, and then basically middle of November summer started, and it's been hot. We've had one or two cooler days, but it's been hot. So things ripened quite quickly, and we started, and you know, it was probably less than a month that all the whites have come off. And to be honest, it's been pretty hassle-free. We haven't had bad weather to worry about. It hasn't been a lot of disease issues, and we had that amazing red gum blossom, or the Maori blossom. So bird pressure's been low. So it's been pretty good. Started, you know, a fair bit of Chardonnay come off. Unfortunately, Chardonnay yields were down a little bit, particularly Gingin Chardonnay. The clonal Chardonnays were a bit stronger. So those yields were a little bit low. Salmon, Sauvignon Blanc, generally yields have been pretty good. And some really, really nice fruit. So yeah, looking good.
With the Chardonnay, is that just when it bud breaks and it hits that weather? Is that kind of the issue with Chardonnay? How it seems to be fairly consistently, it gets lower yields, and then every now and then you get better yields?
I think what we see this year, I think the bunch numbers were pretty good, but fruit set wasn't great.
Yep.
So we got lots and lots of the small berries. So bunch weights were down. I think that's the main thing with the Chardonnay. Whereas the other clones, the bunch number was there, but the bunch size was there. So so the yields are okay. Yeah. So no, it's been a nice start to the season.
And Salmon Sauv Blanc been above average yields or about average?
Oh look, I guess the year we've seen a fair bit of variability. So we've seen some high and some low yields, but generally Semillon's been pretty good, generally Sauv Blanc's been pretty good. This year there's definitely been an influence of time of pruning. So anything that was pruned super late has struggled with yield. Super early, and quite a few people pruned a bit early because of the lack of labour. So, you know, vines do like to be pruned when they're fully dormant. If you go before they are fully dormant or after they're fully dormant, it does use up some reserves, and that does affect yield, and that's what we have seen a little bit of this year. Yeah.
Forecast looking into the reds, what are we looking at? Have any come off yet so far?
Yeah, so Rosé definitely started. So a bit of Shiraz and, you know, Tempranillo for Rosé. A little bit of Merlot now been scheduled in. So it looks like normally we have a few weeks break between reds and whites. Looks like we're going to get straight into the into reds just because that warmth has been pretty consistent. Yeah, some lovely looking red fruit. So Shiraz, you know, yields look good. We'll see what they come off like. Merlot looks pretty good. Set's a bit variable in a few places, and Cabernet looks good. So you know, those main three are looking great. I've seen some temp that's beautiful this year. Further north, we've taken a little bit of Grenache off. That's looked good. Fruit set on Grenache was woeful. Absolutely terrible. So very, very low yields on some blocks of Grenache, and that was the same fruit set thing with flowering. But that was actually a heat thing. So they were flowering, it was very, very hot, and fruit set just got smashed. So they had a lot of shatter. But no, you know, we're shaping up really well for reds, and it looks like it's they're all going to come off straight after the whites.
And the winery's pretty happy with flavour profiles and everything?
Yeah, I think what we've seen is sugar ripeness, so quite high Beaumets, driven by the warmth. But the fruit ripeness has taken a little bit longer. So yeah, I think we're going to see some higher Beaumets to wait for that fruit ripeness, skin ripeness, seed ripeness and flavour ripeness. But it seems to all be getting there now, yeah. Yeah.
And pest and disease issues, what have we had?
So with the whites, you know, almost a dream run. We had that beautiful Maori blossom, so we had no bird pressure, but interestingly that's pretty well done now. So we're starting to see bird pressure coming in, you know, nipping on the edges, but yeah, that'll
build by the week, won't it?
Yeah, I think that will build very quickly. This heat is just, and that little bit of rain that some people got over the weekend might have knocked a bit of that blossom off. So yeah, bird pressure is going to be a problem. The other thing we've seen a lot of is rust mite. Pretty well everywhere you see some of it. I think we're seeing more north, and you know, canopy's almost brown, leaves, you know, that orangey brown colour, and they look unwell, they look like they're water stressed, but it's, you know, ideal hot conditions. The racemite's gone crazy, and you know, sulphur normally keeps that in control, but this season, I don't know, the spray programs are a little bit different because of the
I think
conditions.
With that heat, I think the sulphur backed right off.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. Yeah.
Probably had a bit of an impact.
Yeah.
On that,
So, you know, racemite can be a problem. Once you get a population, you're going to be stuck with it. You can sort of check behind the back of the leaves in December, and then you can put some protection on, but that's, that's for next season now, obviously. Not really. We might see a little bit of late season powdery because of those products that we haven't used a lot of sulphur. There was a tiny bit of botrytis in whites, but hardly any to speak of. If we get a nice run with warm weather, you know, the reds will be looking pretty good. So bird pressure, racemite, and keep fingers crossed for the others. Yeah.
Irrigation, Jim. What's been happening there?
So look, it's been a prolonged period with no rain. So I guess, you know, mid-November through to now, we've had a couple of showers, but hardly anything to speak of. We did come into the season with a full profile, so we were set up pretty well. But yeah, we've needed to put a fair bit of water on to keep vine canopies in condition, and we had that sunburn we talked about last time. So just to keep canopies healthy, but we're sort of getting towards the end of the season now, and you know, there's not a lot of water left in the profile. So I would be having a look at soil moisture, having a look at, you know, canopy condition and fruit turgor, and just monitor things and keep the water up to keep things ticking over. You know, liaise with your winemakers. It's starting to cool off a little bit, so that water pressure will come back a little bit, but still, you know, some Cabernets will be, you know, weeks and weeks away.
Yeah.
So I'd be thinking about water, think about soil moisture, and put some on if need be.
What about post-harvest?
Yeah, look, definitely. I'm a real fan of keeping vines healthy and canopies healthy, because that's reserves for next season. Your fruit's all in the buds for next season, so yeah, look after your vines and vine health. I've no idea when it's going to rain. I think we're looking at 50% chance of average conditions. So, you know, we could, March, April, May could be dry. So I would be keeping a bit of water ticking over, keeping canopies nice and healthy like this.
Yeah, a really good wrap up. Thanks very much for that, Jim.
Pleasure.
And we'll see you at the next one.
Sounds good.